Hello. In this chapter, we'll be discussing the advanced variation.
Yeah. So advance is okay. Caro-Kann. We have the advance. When they push the pawn, try to tickle them on light squares. They're pushing beyond. So again, so you show the lines that no, hold on. Show the e4 e5. Yeah. And okay, e4 e5. And bishop f5. And okay, so basically what they do, what we're accomplishing for one is to get them to push. Show the arrows. Yeah, e4. Yeah, no. When they push e5, they're giving up the light squares, giving up the f5. So we're getting the bishop down to a good square. The only the challenges will be to bypass his space advantage. And we're going to look to bypass that to be able to develop and castle. Once we castle, like we said before, we're going to be very happy and comfortable and often just be better. And c5, again, c5 is our big break. Pawn c5, tickling the d4 pawn. And, I mean, it's long term, it's going to be a weakness as d4. Okay, we can see that.
Okay, I want to discuss the historical development of the advanced variation. So for the longest time, the advanced variation wasn't taken very seriously because in the Caro-Kann, let's look at the advanced French for a moment. Well, this bishop would be outside the pawn. If the bishop was on f5 or on g4 safely, then black would be already better because he would have both play against g4 and an active light square bishop. Now, black is considered to be theoretically fine here. He can target the g4 pawn on dark in lots of different ways. And so why is black not just getting a better version of the advanced French? Well,
but what you're saying is that there's no reason that the advance is good for white if black has a good bishop. He has his pawns out well. He's going to pressure white center. Why should black be in trouble? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, more than that, actually, this was only a main line in the last 30 years or so, and before it wasn't even taken seriously because there were some old games. Okay. But more recently, they've revived e5 and they've tried to show there's two main ways I can try to show, but the main is concrete. You try to say, this bishop's a target, you're behind in development, I'm going to prevent you from developing your king side pretty easily because of the e5 pawn, so I'm going to choose all these various ways of trying to harass your bishop, like knight c3 g4, or h4 g4. Maybe there's going to be a big pawn storm.
So yeah, they could try to trap the bishop.
If
they could kind of get some momentum. They try to stop you from castling, let's say. All right, so we'll have to see how that plays out. All right.
Right, so our first goal is to survive. If we can survive and white does not manage to prove something dynamic, we're usually at least equal, if not better. So let's look at the concrete options. We've already discussed this in the intra variation. We're just sort of mostly reviewing here. Maybe we're going to offer a bit more context. Let's discuss what's most typical, though, because what is black aiming for when white doesn't play concretely? Well, black is aiming to develop the king side.
You got a castle.
So e6, and the general setup that we're aiming for is bishop g6 with knight e7, knight f5 with bishop e7 and castles kingside. And eventually, after you survive, we would like to counterattack against their d4 pawn and possibly play on the queen side.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so bishop e2, just something to add. We always are open to exchanging the light square bishops because we already have the mini bishop on the light squares and because their pawns are on dark squares, which means that their c1 bishop will be very restricted.
His bishop isn't all that great. His light bishop is probably the better of his, and yeah, if he trades, we're pretty happy. If they trade, remember, no, hold on. Knight e7, and then let him take, and then we're happy to take back with the knight. Okay.
Yeah, white has some space advantage, and so we have to spend a little bit of time to develop, more time than we normally would, just because we need to have a square on f5. So if we exchange one pair of minors, this makes our job so much easier. We're definitely surviving, and then our counterplay comes much faster.
We're going to castle quick, and again, trading light square bishops. Again, in the Caro-Kann, a good big theme is you're rarely going to be in trouble on light squares because you have the pawns, right? The pawns are mini bishops. Can you show that the pawns, please? Yeah, the mini bishop. And so we don't mind losing light bishop. And here the trade is actually nice because we still have the bishop pair. We have effectively bishop pair. We have the mini bishops on light and the actual bishop on dark. And we're pretty happy, and that's a good position. Okay.
That's right. So showing our setup, which we're going to play against every positional slow line.
We play bishop e2 sometimes.
The setup is knight e7, bishop g6, knight f5 with a quick castling.
Okay, yeah. He castles, no problem.
Castles. So actually, what happens if white tries to win the bishop pair?
Yeah, so we've seen this a little bit.
We
When they
talked
try,
about that.
yeah. So go back a second. Go back a second. When they try to win the bishop, yeah. When they try to win that bishop, and that's again, that's the light bishop. So we're not too concerned because he's again. We go back to g6. So yeah, we say be my guest. If he takes again, just arrows, please. We go back and say, we look at that. Yeah, if he takes our bishop, we're losing light. So what's the color money? He's investing a 500 light, 500 dark
For 1,000 light. So
for 1,000 light, which means that we're losing. The net result is we're losing 500 light, but
we've rebuilt the light squares with our pawns.
okay, that again, yeah, fine, and that shouldn't be a problem. But again, first the math. The math is we're losing 500 light, we're gaining 500 dark. I would instruct the students to think about the math first before you delve into talking about like what helps or how good is it, how bad. That's hard to first know the facts. The facts are we're losing light 500, we're getting dark 500. It's exact. It's absolutely, there are no exceptions. Now we have to decide, is that a good so losing light, like Elijah was saying, we're okay because we have mini bishops.
The pawns block the opponent's bishop. So
they are mini bishop. We have our own bishop. We have our new bishop.
Right, and there's clear targets on the dark squares. For example, d4 and h2. We have ideas like knight f5, c5, knight c6 with either queen b6 or queen h4.
Again, the pieces are basically going to come out and put a little pressure on the dark squares. I would even add that the rook on h8 is already a good file, and it's tickling h2, which is of course also dark. The d4 pawn, we're always going to put pressure, starting with c5. We just take away the other arrow, c5, and that's again dark. If added to that we're ahead on dark, that's going to be a good combination of things. So we're actually very, very thankful for knight takes g6. It's in fact, I'm always hoping that they take. I know, and yeah, we can see go back and move, So again, go back and move. So knight h4. If they take, good. If they don't take, let's say they play like, I don't know. Let's say they play castle. I don't know, knight castle or something. I play knight f5. What they're really supposed to do is knight takes knight. They're supposed to do knight takes knight.
I would rather they do.
And we want them to take the bishop. A lot of times the very strong players move quickly and they'll take the bishop, which they love the bishop pair, and it's.
I'm one of them, but not here.
Not here, yeah, and it doesn't work. Even if he's not castle, let's go back and move. I'm going to give you a perspective here. If he plays c3, yeah, knight f5, like c3. What is c3 doing? What is c3 really doing?
Dark rebuild.
He's putting his pawn on dark. So in a sense, like, oh, if I'm white, like, oh, take the bishop. You're okay. White's take the bishop, and white is. You would think it should be okay to lose dark, right? Because he has why? Because why is he okay to lose dark? Why should he might be okay?
Because his pawns are potentially controlling the dark squares. Like he has this reserve bishop.
Mini bishop. So but the reality is it's only a matter of time before we crack him. And c5 is good. Okay, go ahead. c5, knight c6, queen b6, maybe even queen h4, tickling every which way and dark. And black is just doing very, very well. I've won short games, very short. I remember a couple of years ago, I got 2,000 in some tournament, and he just completely lost immediately. It was like, I don't know, it was almost weird. It was like very, very straightforward. But it's a normal move, and white's way much worse. That's I think
right.
You guys will enjoy that. All right.
I think we should look at a very interesting variation where we could illustrate how the dark square play can go. So like let's say bishop e3, knight c6. D takes c5 while they're supposedly defended, but then we just break through. Knight takes, and we're just crushing them.
The dark collapses, yeah. The complete collapse.
Everything is too weak. And honestly, we're winning any which way. Queen b6,
Hold on, queen g5. This is actually really cool. Queen g5.
Queen g5.
Queen g5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, rook g3. That's actually kind of cool. Now, hold on. This is good for the student to pause here. This is good. This is a good place to pause.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking to crack him on dark. So we could take the pawn. We could take any pawns.
There's lots of ways to win.
But there's actually a knockout blow. Queen takes rook.
The most fun is, of course, to sacrifice the queen.
Fun. That's the best.
Well, yes.
Yeah, and then rook h1 is mate. Look at the dark bishop. It hits him hard.
Yes.
And that shows how powerful the dark energy is.
Exactly. So going back, let's say knight e7, castles, bishop g6. White can try various options, but this is the most straightforward way to try to complete your development with a good position.
Yeah, and in general, we don't gotta go too deep. I think in general we could say whenever they play g4, we play knight h4. That's fine.
Yeah, there's even sometimes something
Knight
interesting with knight h6, knight g8, with h5, but that's a little bit less obvious. And
yeah, and knight h4 is fine.
and black is doing very well in the long run in these positions, especially if he has time for c5. So white has to try to attack very early. If white doesn't go for these concrete options, black is doing well.
Again, g4,
G4.
knight h4.
We take with the queen.
He's much worse.
And we have ideas like
oh, he's dead. He's terrible. Open king. He's terrible.
Well, but he has an open king.
His king is open.
Yeah, he has
lost.
Yeah, he has an okay. I thought like white might be fine because he has an open.
No. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so knight f5, c3.
c5. No, bishop e7 we could play. Bishop e7. I think we're gonna play bishop e7.
There are some nuances, but there's no need for any of that. Mostly, especially at club level, because you want to make sure you survive the opening. That's the primary task of the Caro-Kann. Then you can play your ideas.
The castle and then c5. No. Castle then c5. Yeah.
We would prefer our knight to be on c6, all else being equal, and we're showing like normal developing moves for white. This is what we aim for in various positional setups. This is our plan. And we're aiming for a typical middle game. That's the style of this course. And here's an interesting variation to illustrate black's. Yeah, we did show this already, but it's just
it's good. Cool way
hitting
on dark,
illustrate the dark attacks.
Nice. Yeah,
we're going through this pretty fast because we went through almost all these variations already in the introduction.
Yeah, the intro is also good to see as well. Okay, good.
Yeah, h4 is one of those concrete lines. In general, in the concrete lines, with white playing on the king side, we play queen b6 with bishop d7 and e6 with c5.
Yeah.
For example, queen b6, knight c3. This is flexible, not committing to g4 yet. h6, because in an ideal world, we want to play e6 with, but we don't want to allow the sacrifice. We prepare e6. If we played e6 right away, we get our bishop trapped. That's why we want to have the option of playing bishop d7.
Yeah, bishop gets trapped.
So knight c3, h6, g4, bishop d7, and we're just going to play e6.
Yeah, you got to make sure he doesn't play e6. You got to make sure.
Yeah,
if you go back to h7, you go back to h7.
This is probably just losing.
E6.
The knight's going to come to e5, and the bishop's coming to d3, and the white squares are too weak.
Show. Pawn takes. Yeah. The king is bad. No, not even bishop d3. Knight f3. Knight f3. Knight f3, knight d7. Yeah, actually, who knows? I don't know if it matters. Bishop d3, and he's in a bit of trouble. Yeah, he counts like queen side. Anyway, but this is good for white.
Yeah, fair enough. I just don't want to allow e6. As a player who plays the h4 variation as white, e6 is generally just crushing. And okay, this gets a little bit complicated. It's like, is this going to be a space advantage? Is white going to get a big initiative, or is black's counterplay? Is black going to have good counterplay on the queen side, and is h5 going to weaken the f5 square?
We should look at these variations a little close.
Yeah, these are.
Go ahead.
This is sort of actually a critical debate. Me and Yakov have played some games in it.
Yeah.
But it's perhaps not so relevant, the details at club level, because our plan is clear.
No, we should say.
But let's look at some variations. So, so
h5, e6. And then f4, c5. We're gonna have a lot of games,
and there's no.
I think a lot of this stuff we should maybe
in the annotated game section.
From the annotated game.
Because we're not really trying to have you memorize lots of long theory. We're trying to help you get to a middle game with a typical plan and color-based ideas, typical structures. The games will go deeper. The masters can have some questions, and we can discuss that in the notes if you'd like.
Yeah. So we're gonna go back. Yeah. So then it's knight f3. Go ahead. F4, c5. Knight f3. Knight c6. And knight a4. Go ahead. Knight a4.
They're trying to punish to get the bishop.
No, it's actually it's a good trap. It's a good trap. Queen a5. Yeah, c3 is over. Pawn takes pawn. It's over. The game ends.
And
it's over.
And we have this discovered attack on the knight. And if they play b4, for example,
knight takes b4.
Knight takes b4.
It's over. Bishop takes,
and we play.
That's what I told you before about the bishop on the angry bishop on d7.
It's actually very useful here.
Yeah. Punch. You don't have to beg for trades. Elijah was saying about trading. No. You don't have to go. Keep the variation.
Yeah, it's about bishop trading for me to want to trade
bishops, but it's not. It's a strong bishop. So keep that variation. Go back to that again. So with a knight. Go ahead, c3. Yeah, pawn takes. Okay, knight takes. Actually, hold on. If we go back.
Is there like easier?
Knight takes. Hold on. Go back one move. I'll go back one more. Knight takes d4. Hold
Oh,
on. Knight takes.
that also
I think
works.
knight takes even better. It's.
Oh,
I
really?
think knight takes is even better. Anyways, it's both
Like-
very, very. Oh, knight takes, bishop takes. Look at this. Oh my gosh.
Well, what about?
Oh. No, you're off for this with King d7. No.
Oh, king postulate and rebel pawn.
No, up a huge pawn. No, this is almost better than being up 2 points. This is good. Anyways, this is shows the angry bishop. D7, you got back, but you're strict. Queen b6 on dark, bishop on d7,
Light.
light energy. Yeah. Okay, so that's important.
Yes.
Some ideas. All right. So I think that's a really important finesse there, which I've had quite a bit.
Yeah. If white tries to play knight c3 and g4, I think it should be the same, right? Just queen b6.
Queen is waiting move, and then
and we're
bishop-
going back this way.
Yeah, I always love that. The pawns overextend there. C5 hit hard.
Yeah, h6 is also a generally useful waiting move if they just play some developing thing, because first of all, we prepare e6, and second of all, like let's check this in the h4 variation, for example. H4, queen b6, knight c3, h6, g4,
Yeah.
bishop d7. I just noticed that this bishop is lacking good squares.
It's hard
the
to
pawns are
develop
restricting, and so it's just useful to have this g5 square controlled as well.
Yeah, they play knight a4. I think that's important. Knight a4. Sometimes they play knight a4.
Yeah, this is an important idea. So knight a4.
Yeah, queen c7. It's all right. We could look at it. Queen c7 is okay.
I think in queen c7, and typical idea we have is knight a6.
Knight a6.
And if they play bishop takes a6, we win
queen
the bishop pair.
a5. Yes.
I think we covered that through this variation with h5,
Good. Okay.
e6, f4, c5. Oh, no, sorry, we didn't cover it there. Like knight a4 here.
Yeah. It's okay.
And there's like queen a5 check, but also just queen c7.
F4. Go ahead. F4 and knight a6.
Preparing c5. We want to recapture back the knight.
C5. Look how nice that is. Hold on. Go back. No arrows here. No. Knight a6.
Mhm.
The c5. Look how. Let's say he plays a random move. Knight f3. Hold on. Knight f3 play.
Mhm.
C5. Look how uncomfortable it is for him. The knight's attacked. No. One sec. No. The knight's attacked, and the bishop. Everything is working together. Knight a6 is useful, and the bishop's out. And then the bishop comes out. Once the dark bishop comes out, the knight's going to come out. No. The knight on g8 is going to come out. So everything, and then we castle it. It's nice, and the knight a4 becomes misplaced, and we're pretty happy. Again, knight takes c5. We can see how it plays out. Knight takes, take, bishop takes. This is very, very good. Queen on b6. Look how ripe open the position is. The king. It's almost the white king is almost mated. It's terrible.
Are we castling queenside?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
We keep it in the center?
In the center for now. He has to solve problems. He has so many problems. He's in terrible. Look at his king. What is he
It's
doing?
impossible to develop any of the
It's
pieces,
terrible for him.
basically. The dark squares.
Yeah. Exactly. Maybe some cases you play f6. There are cases, not exactly, but just so you know, sometimes f6 in this variation and uproot him,
So
and then force him to take the knight. He jumps back in.
right, so there's something interesting here is that these moves make absolutely no sense in an open center. They would only
Yeah.
make sense if we could keep the position closed. Now there's lots of open
Right.
diagonals.
That's why c5 is so important. If we go back a couple moves now,
That's why we're playing for c5.
yeah, go back one more move, and then in this case, so again, it'll go one move, yeah. So go, and now in this case, knight a6. Knight a6 is important.
And if
And if bishop takes, then queen a5.
queen
check.
a5 with a fork, and this is a really important idea. This is what we'd
Yeah.
like to aim for.
c3.
We would have the bishop pair then.
Queen takes. Okay, hold
Maybe
on.
even b6, c5.
Yes. Right now, what's our best piece?
Our best piece is the light square.
Light square bishop, best piece. It's because it's an unopposed bishop.
The golden
It's
bishop.
The golden, the sole, SOLE, the sole light bishop on the sole bishop on the light board.
Yes, this is so interesting because you'd think that this bishop is actually just
Oh,
blocked
no.
in, but it's
Yeah.
not. First of all, white's pawns are all on dark squares, which makes his light squares weak.
Golden bishop.
Second
Says
of
it
all,
all.
he's golden bishop. He's lacking the light square bishop, which means once we get the bishop free, it's so dangerous. Now, I don't really want him to take on c5,
Hey.
so just b6, c5, and he's falling
And
off.
I think actually I would mention that. What's the color money here? Let's be honest. Let's be realistic.
We have $500 extra on light, and they have $500 extra on dark.
So again, it's the light bishop versus the knight, which means we're ahead on light, and he's ahead on dark, which means two things. Which means it's nice that we could appreciate our light bishop
Mhm.
and fight on light. It also means b6 is not just a logistics thing.
It's also dark rebuild.
It's also putting pawns, rebuilding our weaker color, which coincidence? Something magically makes our light bishop better. I've found over the years that by building in harmony, the pieces benefit too. It's almost like a reward for harmony, the universe rewarding you. Building in harmony, it's a universe. Something's
Color
beyond
karma.
just chess. It's beyond just chess. No, it's always. And it's just incredible. It makes sense. The harmony is in sync with the universe, and chess is no different. So that's a kind of interesting dynamic. B6 dark, B6 C5 dark rebuild, oozing light energies.
Mhm.
Clear? Yeah,
Clear.
good.
And I just want to emphasize one other thing. We always are open to exchanging light square bishops, as our remaining bishop is so much in complement with the mini bishop we have left.
I'm very happy to.
This bishop, where's
Sure,
it going?
yeah.
I don't see a square. Maybe G5 sometime, but we can just play H6, and then no matter where it goes, the pawn structure will block it. In the meantime, we still have C5.
Yeah, I'll show you an interesting line here. Interesting line. Knight F3. Yeah, go ahead. Knight F3. Knight E7. Knight. They play Knight E7. Okay, now they play Bishop G5 sometimes. Bishop G5. No. This is okay. Now this is interesting. Hold on. This is interesting. So, I remember. I think I used to play. Well, you used to move the queen away. It's the pin doesn't matter. You could easily break the pin. You can move the queen away, right? But I found some interesting move orders, which is really helpful. H6. Go ahead. H6. He plays Bishop H4. Now that he's committed to going astray, to leaving that, now Queen B6.
Very typical.
Harder for him to defend. This is only a side point though. Queen B, he plays whatever he plays. B3.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the B2 now. Look at hold on. Knight F5. 1 second. Look Knight F5. Look at the dark bishop. Look.
Completely out of play. Now the dark square's on the
now he's
side.
wondering like what's going on. How did I even land here? And he goes back like the dark bishop. You tricked him into going to H4, and now he's like, oh gosh. And now he goes to G3. Bishop G3. And
we're not taking it.
And definitely not take it. Knight's really strong. You could play Bishop E7. I would actually say this is the one example you've done so well, and he's so passive that we could say you could play C5 even before castling. Knight C6. So you play C3, and then you play Knight C6. Yeah,
I would even wonder about ideas like taking on D4 with Bishop B4.
Oh yeah, actually it's over. It's actually literally over. Pawn takes pawn. No, it's literally over. Pawn takes. Let's say knight take. Go back. Knight takes.
Mm-hmm.
Knight takes knight. Pawn takes and knight c6. The game ends. The
Oh,
game's over.
there's just no way to
Knight
defend the
c6
pawn.
over. You're over. Yeah.
Wow.
Because the dark bishop left the premise. Look.
Right. So instead of having
H6, we tricked the move order.
instead of having like a permanent superiority on one color due to having like a knight against a bishop or vice versa, this bishop is just out of play and can't defend the weakness on D4.
Yeah. Just show
Local
the student.
superiority.
Some cases you have to show an idea. Hold on. Rook c8. Just so you know. No, it's good also to have sometimes go if you have the rook. One second. Rook c8 and then knight b4 is like winning on the spot. And knight c2. It's good. It will crop up here and there. That's a good weapon in many cases as well. Okay, good. So that's an important variation. Something we added here. But again, I think it's important if you guys also want to look at the intro to a review of some ideas. And anything
Absolutely.
else you wanna see here.
So let's just review the important ideas. If they play concretely for early G4s, we're playing Queen B6 with H6, Bishop D7, E6, and C5.
Yeah. Again, hold on. No. Basically, step one, you castle comfortably, you survive, and later on you'll have c5 and you'll be happy and play for an easy advantage. White has a few things he could try, maybe g4, maybe h4. You manage those, and then you get beyond that, you castle, and then you'll be fine.
Exactly.
I think advance is a little bit scary for people because they have to be precise. And a lot of my students say like, "Oh, I don't feel good here." Yeah, you have to learn to be precise, but you'll be rewarded. Knowing that there's a reward at the end of the tunnel is actually kind of nice.
Right. If there's a pawn storm, we
So,
go back. We play C5. If they don't, we go.
C5 is the weapon
to develop this way, and we always playing for C5 eventually.
Yeah, C5 is a huge important.
Attacking the base of the pawn chain and creating a weakness on D4.
Yeah, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. We're going to be pretty happy there. Okay.
All right. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you in future chapters.